Good evening. It's Facebook Love number 285. We are getting very close to the 2-year anniversary of the beginning of these poems for the universe. I started that because I wanted a way to feel better, and I wanted a way to help other people feel better. And I think that's happened. I think it's made me even more observant about how to take care of oneself in difficult times. And then the more you realize that you need to take care of yourself, that there are always difficult times, and that maybe we ought to just learn how to take care of ourselves and each other. In those first days of the lockdown here in America, I was rather traumatized because I saw what was coming because of friends in Italy and watching the news from Asia. And we already were having such a difficult time in this country politically and socially. And then this pandemic came and sort of upended and then put everything on fire. And now here we are trying to find our way to whatever the new normal is. And we are on the brink of a war that might turn into something enormous. It's already enormous for those involved, and my heart just goes out. So in the interest of taking care of myself and of us taking care of each other, we have to find that balance between giving compassion and helping, and then finding a way to turn it off so we can care for ourselves in the quiet. A singer that I know only tangentially shared a story the other day of some time she spent with a man who had been a refugee from Vietnam many years ago, who loves America and is very upset about what's happening in the Ukraine. And they were talking about how one can feel useful. And he said that he felt that all anyone can do is to do what they're good at with great attention and full of love. And then you don't feel powerless because you're putting into the world the very light that evil is trying to destroy. So I have a few poems for you today. That's one thing I can give. The other is songs. So today, 2 poems. The first one is by W.S.Merwin, who is getting to be quite up there in years, and he may already be gone, I'm not really sure. But in 2010, he had won the Pulitzer Prize. Here's a piece of his from 1984, titled Vehicles. This is a place on the way after the distances can no longer be kept straight. Here in this dark corner of a barn, a mound of wheels has convened along raveling courses to stop in a single moment and lie down as still as the chariots of the pharaohs, some in pairs that rolled as one over the same roads to the end, and never touched each other until they arrived here. Some that broke by themselves and were left until they could be repaired. Some that went only to occasions before my time, and some that have spun across other countries through uncounted summers. Now they go all the way back together, the tall cobweb-hung models of galaxies in their rings of rust, leaning against the stone hail from Renee's manure cart the year he wanted to store them here. Because there was nobody left who could make them like that, in case he should need them. I have such a dry spot. In case he should need them, and there are the carriage wheels that Moreau said would be worth a lot someday. and the rim of the spare from bald Blaire's green Samson that rose like Borobudur. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble today. That rose like Borobudur out of the high grass between the old house by the river, where he stuffed mattresses in the morning sunlight, and the hens scavenged around his shoes in the days when the black top-hat sedan still towered outside Sandeau's cow barn, with velvet upholstery and sconces for flowers, and room for 2 calves, instead of the back seat, when their time came. Vehicles. Sometimes I think I'm just fine, and then I get a little upset and I have trouble reading. Apologies for being rather human there. That poem, Vehicles, was by W.S.Merwin. He was also U.S. Poet Laureate. This other one was written by a Polish poet named Adam Zagajewski, translated by Claire Kavanagh. This poem is titled Mysticism for Beginners, and it's from a collection from 2002. Mysticism for Beginners. The day was mild, the light was generous. The German on the cafe terrace held a small book on his lap. I caught sight of the title, Mysticism for Beginners. Suddenly I understood that the swallows patrolling the streets of Montepulciano with their shrill whistles, and the hushed talk of timid travelers from Eastern, so-called Central Europe, and the white herons standing, yesterday, the day before, like nuns in fields of rice, and the dusk, slow and systematic, easing the outlines of medieval houses, and olive trees on little hills, abandoned to the wind and heat, and the head of the unknown princess that I saw and admired in the Louvre, and stained glass windows like butterfly wings sprinkled with pollen, and the little nightingale practicing its speech beside the highway, and any journey, any kind of trip, are only mysticism for beginners. The elementary course, prelude to a test that's been postponed. Mysticism for Beginners by Adam Zagajewski. That poem makes me think about how writing, any form of writing, but especially poetry, is really deep observation. One of the teachers I worked with that helped me learn how to write well said the best you can do is to say everything you see. Don't explain. Just say everything you see. And in times that are hard, the thing that makes me the most calm is that. To breathe and say everything I see. This is Facebook Love, number 285, and I'll see you again.